This is Cole Maxey. When did you join? It's been about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I joined before I bought Scarborough, so probably 2018 or something.
Yeah. So,
18.
was anybody here on the tours of home 2 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. His house was on it.
You have that
Yeah.
6 bedroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
him.
love that place.
And that's what he's going to talk
Thanks.
about tonight.
I love
It was
that
his
place.
first deal, and it was huge.
Mhm.
Even Steve, a friend of mine that does stuff like that all the time, said, "Man, it's awfully big."
Yeah.
He's not even sure he would have taken it on, but Cole did, and
It took me on, I think, through it.
John Mellencamp is a singer, if y'all don't know. And
yes.
he has 7
Dude.
things for living your best life, and number 5 is keep at it. Usually I don't have to write, usually I have to write about 100 songs to get one good one. Painting is the same way. You've got to keep slugging. The problem with most people is that they quit too early. And that's the way it is with real estate. If you just keep on, David Green the other day,
Bigger pockets?
no, it was John Schwab. He's out of Sarasota. And he said the other day, his best house that he ever bought, money-wise, was his first house. And it was the worst house he ever bought. Literally. He bought it wrong, got everything wrong with it, and he's kept it all these years, and it's made him the most money. So even in your mistakes, you're gonna learn from them, and you can make money from your mistakes. Just don't give up. I tell people real estate isn't always easy, but it's worth it. So here's Cole.
Yeah. My name's Cole Maxey. What was that guy's name?
John Schwab.
John Schwab. So my first deal was probably a little opposite of his, where it was, hopefully it'll be the least financially successful deal I have, but it was probably the best one just because I learned so much. I haven't prepared anything. I'll kind of keep it informal, and then if you guys have questions, just ask me as we're going. I moved to Midland in 2015. Moved out here with an engineering company and wanted to start investing, so I got into real estate. This actually, Scarborough, what I'm going to talk about, actually wasn't the first house I bought. It was the first big remodel that I did. So me and a buddy owned 3. We bought 1 duplex in Golden Park, which is off of just east of Midkiff, off of Kansas and Story. So we were renting that out. Then I wanted to try something more of a value add, and I wanted a challenge. And so I found one. So I kind of jumped into the deep end. So the way that I found this house was I went to a lot of different houses, talked to a lot of brokers. I would drive by houses through the neighborhood and get the owners off of NCAT, and then I did a lot of cold calls, just so I could see what was out there and get an idea of what I should pay for this house. And so I was also working with a realtor, Alec Almunia. I don't know if y'all have met him. He's a hard-working guy. So I told him I was looking for an investment property, and I was skiing in Jackson Hole.
Nice.
I think in February of 2022, and 19, I think. And he said, "Hey, I found this house. Looks like a good deal." And I had seen it once, actually. So he called me before I was in Jackson Hole. I walked through it. We made an offer on it, and then he called me while I was in Jackson Hole and said, "Hey, you're neck and neck with the next best offer." And so I ended up putting the house under contract while I was in Jackson Hole. And I was sitting on the bed with my brother, and I was like, "Well, Jake, I just closed on this house, and man, I really wasn't prepared for it." So.
Did you increase your bid?
Yeah, I increased my bid. Kind of all the emotions were going, and so the house was like 3,800 square feet. It's on Scarborough Street, just west of A. It's 2-story. The guy living in it he was a landman. And it's an interesting house because it has a kitchen downstairs and a living room. Then there was a Jack and Jill bedroom downstairs, and then upstairs it was another Jack and Jill.
What
and
is
then
that? What's a Jack and Jill?
Like
Bedroom
two
and
bedrooms.
a bathroom in between.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Jack and Jill bathroom with 2 bedrooms. And then on the upstairs there was another Jack and Jill, and then there's a big dance room with a men's and women's restroom, and then like 2 sitting areas. So it was like a weird bachelor pad kind of house. I just thought it was cool, and that's pretty much why I bought it. And we got it for about $70 a square foot, which I thought, okay, I don't know really what I'm doing, but I think there's enough room there to do something. And so I used hard money, group out of Austin, and I put 15% down, and I'm trying to think how much I paid for the house. I think I paid $237. So if that math, $237 on 3,800 square feet, if that's $70 a square foot, that's what I paid. Put 15% down. The loan was, they gave me $100,000 to do repairs, and then it was like 10% interest rate plus points. So it was pretty expensive. So I was working a full-time job at the time, and I did a ton of the work myself. The original idea was to flip it, and so it's in a good neighborhood. And sometime through the project, I just decided I didn't want to flip it. I wanted to keep it and rent it out. And so what I ended up doing was there was plumbing in place near all the bedrooms or rooms that could be bedrooms. And so I ended up adding a full bath to every room, and then basically getting the house to where it was 6 bedrooms, 6 baths. Did a ton of work, did it pretty much all myself with another guy, who maybe some of y'all met at the tour. He lives in Boston now, but, so we did pretty much all the work, and, I rent it out on Airbnb now. So,
How does
yeah.
it do on Airbnb?
It does good. So it stays rented out. My average rent is probably $25 a night per room. And I could probably go a little higher than that, but I just really haven't tried to push it. And so I spent too much money in the remodel. Right now I have a loan that's about 4.8%. And so right now I'm about break even on cash flow. And I couldn't refi for the past 3 years because of my employment situation. So once I refi it, that's kind of what I'm waiting for, is to wait for interest rates to go down a little bit, refi it.
Have you done a property appraisal on it since you renovated it?
Yeah, so my hard money loan was 1 year. So April 2019, I closed with hard money, and then 1 year later, that hard money loan matured, and I refinanced it with Community National Bank here in town, and I've had that loan ever since. So actually when we didn't do an appraisal. I can't remember if we did a BPO or, I can't remember if we did that at the time or not, but it appraised somewhere around 450, 475.
So what was your cash out after you paid the hard money lender?
I cashed out, I took like 130,000 out of it. And I was pretty impressed with how fast I spent that.
You're funny.
Yeah, so that was when I refinanced, I refinanced with CNB and then took that cash out when I refinanced with them.
So it took you a year to rehab it?
No, it took 2 years. If y'all are interested in talking to lenders, I would give you Amber's number at CNB. She's a commercial lender there. And it was a portfolio loan, so it's held with the bank. So the underwriting was just as much of getting to know me as it was going through any standardized, underwriting procedure for the loan. So they basically said, since I've been paying on the note at 10% for 12 months, they said we'll refinance it for you.
Were you doing interest only?
No, right now it's
No, I meant before.
before, yeah, it was interest only. Yep. Yeah, so probably the biggest lesson I learned doing that was I bought that. I wanted to do a rehab, and I did not put a lot of forethought into how much it was going to cost, what my carrying costs were going to be. I didn't think a whole lot about insurance and interest, and then I underestimated how much the rehab work was going to cost. So that was the biggest lesson through that whole thing, was just not thinking through what's the end goal, and kind of paying for that as I went through it.
So if you were doing interest only, that was like what, $2,700 a month, something like that?
Yeah, it was like about 2,700 a month. So now it's about 24. My notes now 350,000, and it's 20-year, 4.8% or so.
Do they each have their own entrance on Airbnb? Like, how do you do that? Do they all come in the front, or?
Yeah, there's keypads on all the external doors. The alley, there's kind of an alley that I made of big parking. So sometimes guys have multiple vehicles, and I've had 8 vehicles parked back there. There's plenty of
I
room.
remember it was a big parking lot.
Yeah, so there's enough parking to accommodate. And then what I do on Airbnb is just put check-in instructions with the outdoor code, and then every room has its own keypad, and so the individual rooms are set to the last 6 of the phone number. So it keeps so I have a guy living there. The guy that helped me remodel it, his name was Griffin. When we finished and it was livable, he lived there and ran the Airbnb, did turnover in the rooms, checked people in and out, was there on site if there was any problems. And then now there's still a guy doing that same thing. So I just give someone a really good deal on rent, and then they get a bedroom, and then they kind of.
Where did Griffin take off to, did you say Valley?
They went to Boston.
Oh, Boston.
Yeah.
That's not as nice as Valley.
Yeah. He had
It's nice though.
He was working. He had a weird work situation, and so he ended up getting a job in Boston.
How'd you find the new guy, and what criteria were you looking for?
Do what? What was that?
What were you looking for in him?
That's been a learning process too. He's a friend, so having a friend and a manager's been a learning process. I've been a landlord too for 3 years, so managing people's something I've just been learning. But really, the main thing with me is just trusting them and making sure that I give them a really good deal. So it's I've only had 2 managers, but they're both, it's a good deal for them to stay there. And so, they're incentivized to make sure everything works out, no one has any issues. Really the main thing for me was trusting them, making sure if they tell me something's wrong, they're not, pulling my leg.
So I guess your Airbnb, they have access to like all the communal spaces, I guess is what you would call
Yeah,
it?
so there's a shared kitchen, shared living area, shared dining, and then the dance room I turned into a game room. I got a pool table and put it up there, bookshelf, there's couches and a projector screen so people can go hang out. People really like it because the house is usually quiet, everyone's traveling for work. I have a lot of nurses, oil field people. I had a guy move down here from FedEx, I've had people come from Spain, France, but people like it because they have a little bit of a community of people to interact with. Come home from work, they can cook, there's other people there. And I have not had any problems with people, at least nothing reported with people stealing or, anything like that.
What's your average length of stay?
That has been, I don't know what the average is, but there's a lot of people that they'll book a stay for, well, I'll give you the kind of the full side of the spectrum. So I set the Airbnb, you can set the stay for a minimum. So I set the minimum stay for 4 nights, and I'll have people book 4 nights. Most of them are, I'd say, a month to 2 months, and then I've had 2 people book a year plus. And the way that works on Airbnb is you book it and reserve it, but then Airbnb charges the person every month. So that's been, the booking process has been pretty simple with Airbnb.
Pretty what?
Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It takes a little time to set up the app and kind of get your preferences set. You can adjust everything. You can set it up to where Airbnb will adjust the price based on demand. You can put vary how much time you have after a reservation to clean up. There's so much customization on their platform.
You go in, Cole, can you go into it a little bit about what you renovated, what it cost, how you decided what to do, what not to do?
Yeah, that was how I decided what to do and what not to do was pretty at the moment. So I didn't have a real good plan. I walked through the house and I thought, okay, I don't want to sell it, but I saw just the layout. There's kind of 3 corners of the house that all had plumbing.
Right.
And I used a lot of YouTube and a lot of the internet, and I calculated to make sure the plumbing capacity was there for 6 bathrooms. And I thought I could make 6 bathrooms in this. So I got that idea to do that. I stayed at a shared spaces thing in Austin. I don't know if any of y'all have stayed at Austin, but I went to Austin for a conference. I had a suit and was there for business. I booked an Airbnb, didn't pay attention to it. And I show up and it tells me to go up the stairs, go to the 2nd bedroom on the right, and then the bed that I'm staying in is the 3rd bunk bed on the top bunk. I thought, what the hell is this? And it turned out to be a nice stay. There was a lot of other working professionals there. And so I thought, man, that was actually fun. I wonder if this would work in Midland. And I just tried it. I didn't really put much more thought into it than that. So once I figured out that I had the plumbing capacity for 6 bedrooms, I just went for it. And then what else? What else was?
What did it cost for different, how did you decide did you got the kitchen and start all over, and
The kitchen
did you
was
put in
not.
granite or?
Yeah, the kitchen wasn't bad because there was it was a galley kitchen where it's real tight, and there was one wall that I could take out that wasn't load bearing, so that wasn't too bad. I kept the plumbing all the same in the kitchen, and then took out the cabinets, put in new cabinets, and I found someone gave me granite countertops. The granite's actually from India.
Holy
So I got lucky on some things, but I did not do a lot of pricing out of stuff. If I didn't have the money, I pretty much did the work. That's kind of what ended up happening. So
Okay. Is there a
That-
reason you decided to do the work yourself versus contracting it?
I wanted to do the work myself too. I like working with my hands, and it was at the time. I'm single. I had time, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was stressful at the same time, but a lot of the reason was because I wanted to learn a lot of those skills. So I did a lot of electrical work, a lot of plumbing, a lot of framing, and I just wanted to get experience doing that.
Are you still doing the Airbnb model anywhere else? Has it progressed for you?
No, that I bought that house in 2019. Spent 2 hard years remodeling it, and then the third year it kind of tapered off, and now it's finally I don't have to be over there. But so I'm kind of taking a breather. We started another business. I'm in wealth management, so I used to work for Merrill Lynch, and we took all our clients, and that business has been going really well. So I'm focusing on that and taking a break from manual labor for the time.
And he just bought his personal house.
Yeah, I just bought a house yeah, so while I was doing this, I was renting a bedroom from a buddy. So this would be the first house that I've ever owned and lived in at the same time.
Didn't you put in some load-bearing, I remember these big timbers in there.
Yeah, those are, I didn't put those in. There was
They were there?
exposed cedar. It was actually just the structural support was just wrapped with cedar. So I didn't mess with any of that.
It's beautiful though, isn't it?
It's really
Two-story?
pretty. It's cool on the inside. Yeah. There is, so it's a 2-story, and then the middle of the house you can see it's vaulted. You can see to the very top.
Right.
So that the house is supported by, like right under the apex of the ceiling, there's 2 big steel beams that go up that support the roof, and those are wrapped. But I did not mess with those.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the address?
It's 1005 West Scarborough.
1005?
So did you say that you, after your rehab cost and your refinance, you cleared 130 in that?
You mean cash out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
Costs.
Yeah. So, no. So, the hard money matured a year after. The hard money is what I used to acquire the house. That matured a year after I bought it. I didn't draw much on the $100,000 that they gave me for rehab, and so when I refinanced with C&B, the house was, that was about halfway through the 2-year period, and so I took out $130,000 to finish the remodel. So there was money to be made. I just spent it on a college tuition learning.
So would you do it again?
Hell yeah. I learned so much on that thing. Like, I would totally do it. I would recommend to anybody challenging yourself. That was a pretty big thing, and that could have gone a variety of ways, but, just like Lee said, that's how you learn. So I've learned a ton.
Let's start somewhere.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
So-
Thank you, Cole.
Well,
Yeah,
I
one more
had a
question.
question.
So you live there and you have a work camper?
Do what?
You live in there, live in one of the 6 bedrooms as well now? Or-
No, I have a guy who stays there, and then I rent out the other 5.
So it does have 5 out of your truck.
Yeah, so really it's, I'm only renting 5 and 6.
And does he pay you some portion of rent?
Nope, I just, no, so the other part is there's, so some of the first people that came out, tax write-off. The first people that came out of there, that lived there, came out of Teen Challenge, had different issues, and so I'm trying to help them out too. So
Right.
the manager that stays there doesn't pay any rent.
Does he clean rooms for you?
Yeah, he does all the turnover for the Airbnb.
Okay. That's nice.
So with a little bit of fine tuning, I think this model would work because it's a great deal for who's living there, I spent too much money just because I was learning and was kind of overwhelmed, but the Airbnb has kept it booked. A point brought up earlier is like the legislation with, that's going on with hotels, kind of Airbnb kind of cutting into hotel revenue. That was another thing that I kind of took a chance on. I don't know how that's going to play out, but have 5 bedrooms and 1 manager. If there's someone on site, it's been pretty hands-off for me. So that part of it's been interesting to actually see that it works.
How much do you think you put into,
Remodeling?
well, not just so much remodeling, actually, let's just stay on Airbnb to actually facilitate, every bedroom and every living space. What do you think you put in there?
Or just like operating costs?
Furnishings and such.
Oh, I kept that pretty cheap because most of the stuff I got on Facebook Marketplace or, yeah, that was the cheapest part.
And a fun part.
Yeah, once you get to furnish it. Yeah, the pool table came from one of my buddies in Roswell. His dad passed away like probably 5 years ago now. And he's my best friend. And so the pool table was his dad's. And now I get to have the pool table in the house, which that was awesome.
So you're not cash flowing right now?
Mm-mm. Nope. And the reason I haven't sold it is because there's still room for me to refi and bring the debt payment down.
Okay.
And then the other reason is I'm just stubborn and I want, there's still some things that I can do to kind of make it more efficient. And I think I'll be able to cash flow it at some point.
Do you think if the market changes around here, which I mean, it looks like it's probably going to, do you think that it would be more advantageous to rent out to like business professionals, like oil company specific? Like I just did the math, it's like $750 a month per door that you need to cover it, but then you reduce your turnover.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with your manager, right?
Yeah, that is totally something that I could look into. That's totally something I could look into.
It's
Right.
like a premium small stay space kind of thing.
Yeah, that's 100% an option. I haven't, it's something that I could look into, I just haven't done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's totally an option. So I don't have to tell you.
So you mentioned the thing about like competition with hotels and regulations. That's something that I'm interested in knowing more about. But did you face any challenges with like city regulations, like getting your permits or anything like that?
No. I did not ask their permission for anything.
Oh.
So.
All right.
It did all work itself.
It was all inside.
Gotcha.
And nobody really is anywhere where they can see he's got a neighbor on one side, but the back side is high power lines in an alley, and so there's nobody really seeing what's going on there.
Just hang a sheet over the window.
Yeah. I mean, that's not. I wouldn't
Isn't
say
that
that's
risky?
possible.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you ever go to sell it, aren't you gonna be in trouble that you never permitted the work?
Yeah, probably. But I think there's people who I think if the house is, operates for 10 years and I never have any issues, I don't know.
I've seen Odessa's
Yeah,
process.
and there's a lot of people that sell their house with.
I would be exceptionally surprised if they do anything.
It's pretty common.
There's an addition on everything around here 7 different times that were never permitted.
Yeah, but it's a risk. I mean, it's all
Yeah. Maybe Midland, you're probably more open to Midland, but I highly doubt it, I'm guessing.
You mentioned that you would do it again, but if you did do it again, would you do more contractors and less of the work yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Or would you want to do the work?
Yeah, I guess to qualify my answer to that question, it is that I think it was worth it to do that because I learned a lot. I would do it again, just totally a different way.
From a financial perspective, because your holding costs, at least was $2,700 a month, right? Plus everything else that goes into it. Do you think you would have saved money by using contractors potentially, just by closing the time window and then getting it rentable sooner?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, but like you said, the learning of what
Yeah.
you want and don't want to do in the future projects gets.
Yeah, in my opinion, that was, I don't know if that was more valuable or not, but I kind of wanted.
Oh, we're in the same space.
Well, maybe not-
We've
maybe
done
not-
some things we shouldn't have done.
Maybe not a project as big as that one, but,
Yeah.
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 Well, equity lenders, hard money is always something that you have to understand what you're getting into, especially these backing points and what your time frames are, what your exit strategies are. You definitely need to stick that on your business plan.
Yeah.
What's a good source for that kind of information? That's something I know nothing about.
Justin.
Yeah.
Justin has no
It's a
time.
lot, but,
If
out on the
we-
net, YouTube,
Deep
Bigger
Pockets, Bigger Pockets is a good one.
But if you really want some flipping, I mean, Lee Arnold,
Lee
great
Arnold.
source. He also will give you mentoring. On top of that, they will give you equity on the deal if they can underwrite it. And that's
Okay.
Lee Arnold mentoring group, another hard money lender out there, but a really good one.
Yeah, C and B, they've been, I'd say fairly creative or not real rigid in everything I've financed with them. Which to me, that's super important with the lender is having someone that you can work with and not be stuck with just kind of some arbitrary guidelines that being able to execute what you want to do.
You mentioned that you didn't use much of the $100,000 budget that they had allowed you,
In the
your hard money
beginning.
lender. What's the reason for that? Like, why did you not
I
want
just
to
used
use
mine.
it?
I just had money saved up. So I got that just, and I was paying interest on it too. So I got that just because I wanted to have it.
You were paying interest on the hard money loan for the rehab?
Yeah, so I don't,
Wow.
this is probably pretty standard with hard money lenders. They finance the house, they take a lien on the house, and then if you want extra rehab money, actually, I think there's some that don't charge you on.
Say the two that I've talked to, and I haven't actually done a deal with them yet, but both of them have told me that they will give me the rehab money, like, I only pay interest on the,
Yeah, no, you're right, actually.
Main
That's-
part.
Yeah, that, I don't know, I'd have to think about that,
So
honestly.
they don't charge interest on what money they front you for rehabbing?
no, because you're gonna give them, at the end of the year, you're gonna give them their interest on the whole deal, right, when you do your cash out refi. At least that's the two that I talked to, where,
Yeah, so I was paying, they financed the home, I was paying interest on that. As far as the line of credit goes, I cannot remember. They might have charged me interest as I drew. I threw like 10 or 20 grand on that 100,000. And I just, yeah, I just can't remember, yeah, I can't, maybe they didn't charge me interest on that whole thing. I can't remember.
And I know a guy in Georgia that does it quite a bit, and he charges money on the whole from day one.
On the whole.
Because his thinking is he's got to put the money aside, so when you want it, you've got it. And if he doesn't do that, he can use that money to do another deal. So that's just his preference, so it can go both ways.
right, I think, yeah, it depends on the hard money lender, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything's different depending on whatever.
Because there's really no, like, set rules with that, because it's not really, like, regulated, because it's outside of the normal banking.
Yeah, there's no Fannie or conventional,
Yeah.
or FHA guidelines they have to adhere to.
Yeah, if y'all have any questions on that, y'all can ask me later, I can give you all of that. And we've got mortgage loans, conventional loans that run up against hard money loans too, so you don't always have to go to equity loans. You can get a conventional loan, a cash flow property loan, there's all kinds of different, and they're way lower than, 10% run.
So what drew you to this, like, 6-room monstrosity that you got into
Oh, no.
versus like a single family?
We need to go back in time and ask me.
Did he say he was drunk the night he signed?
Said what?
You were drunk the night you
Yeah.
signed.
Oh, give me all those papers.
Yeah, probably so.
I'll take that back.
Ski air.
Yeah.
Them out there.
Yeah, it was
That's funny.
just a little bit of
So overall, you would say the whole experience is a break even, like, other than your experience that you learned, right? Like money wise, break even.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I wasn't gonna, I knew it wasn't gonna be smooth sailing. I just didn't know just how much work it was gonna be and how much I was gonna have to juggle, but yeah, it was totally worth it.
This is a monster house. You have no idea. You should go see it if he opens it up again. It's unbelievable.
$25
you can see.
And for the 20, for 25, the 20 grand that he said he took out, I mean, you did well to do that all for that kind of money.
Well, yeah, and then I spent
Oh, so in the
lot
end,
after
you
that.
spent 20.
Yeah, the first line of credit that I had from the hard money lender, I spent probably $20,000.
I see.
And then I had to draw from,
The
I had to get a
130.
cash out from C&B. That disappeared.
It does, when you're doing these houses, it just vanishes.
Yep, it does.
So there's a website that you guys might be interested in. It's called Private Money Gold Mine. And maybe some of you have heard of it, but I just found it recently. Borrow from private lenders.
You can unplug that and hand it back to me, Cole.
Okay.
Borrow from private money lenders at 6% to 12% interest with no points or fees. And
So
they
is
put in-
private money gold mine?
It's called Private Money Gold Mine.com. And you can search by your zip code. And once you join, they give you the names of the investors and how much they're willing to put in. I mean, when I looked at it, it's like I recently did a CD. It's like, shit. I would have been much better off being a private money lender, but I didn't know all that stuff then.
Any more questions for Cole? Thank you, Cole.
Thank you.